In the Professional Women's Hockey League, the Toronto Scepters are back in action tonight, looking to take a commanding lead in their series against the Minnesota Frost. The Scepters won their first game 3-2 in Toronto on Wednesday. The other semifinal is an all-Canadian affair, with the Ottawa Charge facing the Montreal Victoire. Ottawa leads that best-of-5 series 1-0. Let's bring in PWHL Executive Vice President of Hockey Operations, Jayna Hefford. Thank you very much for being here with us, Jayna.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we're into year 2 of the playoffs. How are things going and what has changed?
Well, year 2 has been amazing. We were one game into each of the semifinal series. But I think as we continue to look towards the competitive balance in this league, it's something we're incredibly proud and excited about. So last season was incredible with Minnesota taking home the first Walter Cup trophy. But this year we have 4 teams now that are all trying to win that cup. And I think it's fair to say with the balance across this league, any one of those 4 teams can win. So excited about the next number of weeks on the road to the Walter Cup.
Now, 3 out of the 4 playoff teams are from Canada. How big is that?
You know, I think we're excited to grow our league really across North America and all our markets. But, you know, I can say when we speak to our Canadian teams in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, they've worked really hard to build teams in those markets, build fan bases. And I can say they're incredibly loyal and passionate fans in all of those markets. So if one of them are fortunate enough to win the cup, you know, it's going to be an exciting moment for all of their fans. But this is really about growing the game all the way around the world, really, but specifically here in North America with the PWHL. And but exciting time for our Canadian teams.
Any particular teams or players that you will especially be watching out for this weekend?
Well, as the league, we don't cheer for any teams, but you know, as I said, I think the competitive balance in this league. So you look at the Toronto-Minnesota series where it's a rematch of last year. Minnesota ended up beating Toronto in 5 games after being down 2 games. So there's some already built up rivalry within that series. So that is going to be a great one. And then, of course, Ottawa-Montreal with rivalries being so close geographically. And, you know, Montreal has been a very consistent team all year. And Ottawa's a team that's been a little bit up and down, but they certainly came into the playoffs on a high in their first time in the Walter Cup playoffs. So a lot to look forward to there as well. And the hockey's been incredible. And that's the best news for our fans.
Now, you have added 2 new teams, one in Seattle and one in Vancouver. What does this mean for growth, and can we expect to see more growth coming up soon?
Yeah, it's an exciting time for the PWHL. 2 new teams entering next year in Seattle and Vancouver, and we've been very public that this is phase 1 of a broader growth strategy. So we certainly hope and expect there'll be future growth without a timeline attached to it right now. But for us to be able to have the success we've had this early, to have an ownership group that is completely invested in growing the sport and growing this league. And we're in a great position right now. Our fans have showed up. They've demanded a playoffs or players show up every night and perform. And so I think just this early success has been amazing for us, and long road ahead, but the investment is there and we're ready to continue to grow the women's game.
Jayna, thank you very much for being here. All the best to you and the players. That is Jayna Hefford, PWHL Executive Vice President of Hockey Operations.